Imagine this. It's 2 a.m. The house is quiet in a way that feels almost physical. No voices, no notifications, just the low hum of a fan, maybe the faint click of a hallway clock. You've done everything right. You finished your chores, you dimmed the lights, you tried to unwind for an hour. You even told yourself, calmly, that it's time. Your body is exhausted. Your muscles feel heavy, like they've settled into the mattress. Your eyelids want to stay closed. Your jaw finally unclenches. And then you close your eyes, and it happens. A sudden, sharp rush of energy moves through your chest. Not pain, more like electricity. Your heart starts tapping against your ribs, steady, insistent. Your breathing feels slightly higher in your throat, and your mind, which was foggy a few minutes ago, snaps into focus. It begins projecting a bright, detailed reel. Every mistake, every unfinished conversation, every what if, every I should have, every what happens if I don't. You lie there in the dark, staring up at a ceiling you can't see, listening to your own alertness, wondering why, at the safest hour of the night, your brain feels like it's on duty. A lot of people call this insomnia. But if we zoom in on what's actually happening inside your system, one concept explains it with unusual clarity: hyperarousal. Hyperarousal is not a personality flaw. It's not being dramatic. It's a state. A state where the brain and body are running in a higher alert mode than sleep can easily tolerate. Sleep isn't just being tired. Sleep requires a downshift, a gradual lowering of internal vigilance. Hyperarousal means that downshift doesn't fully arrive, or it arrives and then gets interrupted. So your body can feel depleted, and at the same time, your mind can feel bright and fast, wired but tired. This lens matters because it changes the story. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" we can ask something more precise. What is my brain staying ready for? Let's break that down in 3 small parts. We'll keep it simple, one layer at a time.
A. What your brain detects. Your brain is always scanning. Not for thoughts exactly, for meaning. During the day, the scan is spread out. Noise, movement, faces, tasks, decisions, small social signals, small time pressures. Your attention keeps switching channels. External reality carries a lot of the load. At night, that changes. The world gets quieter. The channels close. And when the outside becomes low information, the inside becomes louder. The brain's scan turns inward. It notices the sensation of your heartbeat. It notices the shape of a worry that didn't get finished at noon. It notices a loose thread from the day, a message you didn't answer, a look someone gave you, a bill, a deadline, a memory your mind decides to replay for no obvious reason. The content doesn't have to be extreme to feel urgent, because the brain isn't only reacting to the topic. It's reacting to the fact that something still feels unresolved. And when something feels unresolved, the brain treats it like a keep watching signal. This is where it becomes difficult, because the bed itself can start to pick up meaning. Not consciously, not on purpose. If you've spent enough nights in this room being awake and frustrated, the brain learns an association. Bed equals vigilance. Darkness equals monitoring. Silence equals review. The body doesn't hear those sentences, but the nervous system reads the pattern. And once a pattern is learned, it can switch on quickly. B. how your body responds. When the brain detects "keep watching," the body cooperates. Again, not as a choice, as a reflex. The alerting system begins to rise. Heart rate nudges upward. Breathing becomes shallower. Muscle tone holds on a little longer. Skin may feel warm or slightly restless. The stomach may feel light or unsettled. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's unmistakable. And the important detail is this: your tiredness and your arousal can coexist. Fatigue is like low fuel. Arousal is like a foot on the gas.
You can have both at the same time. That's why you can feel wrecked and wide awake. In hyperarousal, the body is not trying to punish you. It's trying to keep you available. Available to notice. Available to respond. Available to correct something if correction is needed. In the daytime, that stance can look like productivity. At night, it looks like a problem. Because sleep is built for a lowered stance. And here is where the loop begins. Once you notice your body being alert, your brain updates its conclusion. Something is happening. And that interpretation, just the interpretation, adds more fuel. Not because you were doing it wrong, because brains treat bodily activation as consider it information. So why does it peak at 2 a.m.? Why does it feel sharper in the dark? Part of it is exposure. At night, you are alone with your internal signals. There are fewer distractions, fewer interruptions, fewer responsibilities that require immediate action. That sounds like peace, but for a hyper-aroused system, it can feel like open space. And open space can feel uncertain. There is also the issue of time. At 2 a.m., the future suddenly gets closer. The morning becomes a countdown. Not because you choose it, but because the brain is a prediction machine. It starts calculating how much sleep is left, how you'll function, how the day will feel. And that mental math has a tone. Urgency, evaluation, consequence. Those tones are arousing. There's another quiet factor as well. At night, there is less external feedback that you are safe. In the daytime, your environment constantly reassures you in small ways. Movement, sunlight, conversation, noise. At night, the world offers fewer safety cues. So safety has to be felt internally. And if the system is already running hot, internal safety is harder to access. That doesn't mean the bedroom is unsafe. It means the brain is not using logic right now. It is using signal. And the signal it is reading is "be ready." Now, here is the shift. The problem is not that you can't sleep. The problem is that in hyperarousal, your attempts to sleep can look like evidence of danger. Not in words, in signals. Think about what trying feels like. Trying has tension. Trying has monitoring. Trying has a goal. Trying implies that something is not happening naturally. To a calm, rested brain, trying to sleep sounds harmless. To a hyper-aroused brain, trying can sound like something is wrong. Something needs control. Something needs fixing. And once the brain believes that, it does what brains do. It increases observation. You start checking the clock. Not even intentionally. Your eyes drift to it. You start bargaining with time. If I fall asleep right now, I'll get 5 hours.
If I fall asleep in 30 minutes, I'll get 4.5. You're not choosing to do math. Your brain is doing what it thinks is responsible. But that math is wakefulness. It lives in the same networks that plan, predict, and troubleshoot. So the very act of monitoring sleep becomes a form of stimulation. And hyperarousal has a second twist. The more you want sleep, the more meaningful sleep becomes. It stops being a biological process. It becomes a performance, a test you have to pass, a resource you have to win back, a proof of whether tomorrow will be survivable. And when sleep becomes high stakes, the brain treats the situation as high stakes, not because you are overreacting, because the brain is built to prioritize what matters. If sleep matters too much, the brain keeps it in the spotlight. That spotlight is bright, and under bright light, sleep has trouble forming. This is why people often describe the most frustrating part of the night as the moment right before sleep should arrive. You are tired. You are ready. And then you feel yourself evaluating. Is it happening yet? Am I drifting? Why am I still awake? That evaluation is a form of wakefulness. Not morally, mechanically. It keeps the system online. So the paradox is this. In hyperarousal, the desire for sleep can become the fuel that delays sleep. Not because you were weak, because your brain interprets effort as a sign that something requires vigilance. And vigilance is the opposite of surrender. Sleep is not a switch you flip. It is a state your system allows. Hyperarousal is a system that is not allowing yet.
If this is your night, there is one thing worth saying clearly. Your brain is not broken. It is responding. Hyperarousal is not a mysterious curse. It is the same protective capacity that helps you perform, anticipate, and adapt. It just becomes misplaced in the dark. And when it happens, it can feel deeply personal, as if your mind is choosing to torture you with old scenes and new fears. But from the inside of the nervous system, it is not torture. It is scanning. It is matching patterns. It is keeping watch for what feels unfinished. That doesn't make the experience pleasant. It does not turn a long night into a short one, but it changes the meaning. Instead of, "my mind is punishing me," the frame becomes, "my system is overestimating the need for readiness." And that frame carries a different kind of weight. Less shame, less self-attack, less desperation to force an outcome. Many people think the core problem is the lack of sleep. Sometimes the deeper pain is the story we attach to being awake. The story that says, if I'm awake, I'm failing. The story that says, if I can't control this, everything will fall apart. Hyperarousal feeds on those stories because those stories raise the stakes, and you don't have to add stakes to an already alert system. So if you find yourself awake at 2 a.m., heart a little too loud, mind a little too bright, you are not meeting a monster. You are meeting a protective system that forgot the time. A system designed for survival, operating in the wrong context. Understanding that doesn't command sleep to arrive. It does something quieter. It makes the room feel less like a courtroom and more like a place where your system can eventually, gradually, stand down on its own schedule. Even if it takes longer than you want, even if it arrives imperfectly. Your brain is not your enemy. It is a guard that never learned how to clock out. And tonight, at the very least, you can see the badge. Some nights, this pattern is loud. Some nights, it is softer. But either way, it is still the same system, trying to keep you prepared, even when preparation is no longer needed.